Welcome to Voice Note Me, a lo-fi podcast sharing beauty, one human at a time, through conversations unfolding in solitude, in other words, through voice notes. I'm Robin Bethel, a writer, a lover of voice notes, and your host. Thanks for joining me.
Rainy days don't seem so wet. Stormy nights don't stay.
In this episode, I try something new, and in doing so, I share some of the journey that I've been on lately, which is the continuation of a longer journey around opening into my intuition, to my connection to the divine, listening, trusting, moving in the dark, surrendering, and really just listening and trusting that intuition unequivocally. I've been in this space for a number of years, and I've stepped off some cliffs with it. But in the last year, it's taken a new form, and so brought new thresholds and a new initiation that has brought me to a place where I'm not sure how things will come together, but I know I am allowing what's meant to emerge, the space to emerge. And I also feel like I'm deepening in my embodied devotion and trust, which is something I think I'm meant to reflect in the world. I share about this and a couple other things, and then extend a new invitation. And I hope you enjoy listening to this new experiment in one type of Voice Note Me episode. Here it is. So this episode is a little bit different. Again, I'm kind of evolving, letting this podcast be new things. And in this episode, I am voice noting you, whoever is listening. And I'm just sharing a few vignettes of different things here and there. And I hope it meets you however it's meant to meet you. I feel I may do more of this format, little love letters in vignette, in different seasons and different months when I feel called. And it feels a little bit just like so much of what I've been opening into creatively. Well, not all of it, but at least with the two podcasts that I'm doing, or maybe just specifically this one. I feel it began with a desire to illuminate the beauty of another soul, one person at a time, because I feel like there is so much beauty in every single soul, and still want to do that. But I also feel like I want to just take up more space than I intended at first, where in our conversations, I deliberately tried to keep the focus on who I was in conversation with. And now I feel like I want to just share from my own heart and my own vision equally as much and in different ways. So here is this love letter to you, whoever's listening. I thought first I would share a little bit about the season of my life that I'm in, which I've touched on in various podcasts, either here or in Sacred Conversations, the one that I do with my friend Nicole. And I think that something I'll be called to share a lot more about later in different forms. But for now, I feel like the essence of what I want to share is I'm in a season of deep trustful and deep realignment that I think is both meant to recalibrate really radically where oh my gosh, my cats look so funny. I think it's supposed to recalibrate pretty radically where my energy goes, and like reorienting so much there in a really fast period of time that logically, just everything about it doesn't make logical sense. And I think that is a piece of it, a huge piece of it. Like, this is the time when this needs to happen, and your energy is meant to go here. And then another piece of it feels like a deep spiritual initiation in trust. Again, radical trust. And in a way that doesn't make any logical sense. And just really deepening into that, embodying it, and growing really comfortable in that space through time. And I think it also reflects things about money and listening and following what we hear within and without, following our intuition in a really countercultural way, but a way I think we're really called to in this period of time. And I feel it's something that I am probably meant to reflect in the world as invitation for others to step into that place more themselves. So I see this period doing both of those things. And it started, at least this really concentrated period started in August of 2024, when I really rather suddenly felt like I was meant to step away from a work partnership that had for years brought in most of my work as an editor, as a ghostwriter, as a coach. And it was with someone who I loved and I still love. And it was really just an awareness that it was time. And I also, at that same time, really felt like a deep readiness to be in my own creative space most of the time. But of course, that doesn't pay anything. But I felt like such a rush of, I'm so ready for that. I didn't know what it would look like to step away from this work partnership. And I didn't know if it would mean I would be finding a full-time job or other big projects would fall in on their own. I really didn't know what it meant. And I just kept listening. And after a couple months, I came into the place where it was kind of like walking out without a net, and things had wrapped up, or a lot of projects had wrapped up, at least in terms of being paid for them. And I just kept listening, and the guidance kept being, stay in this place, don't seek anything. And small things would come to me, nothing really large, nothing really long term, but small things would come in, just enough to sustain. And soon after I had this realization I was meant to step away from that, I also kind of concurrently had a final energetic ending with kind of a karmic relationship. It was really beautiful. And it was with Christian, who actually was on this with me in the last episode. And, in kind of that void in that space, probably due to both of those things, I then, in December of 2024, felt this call to start a podcast. And I'd never felt that before. I had no desire to start a podcast. And so I reached out to Nicole and we talked about starting one. And then I had another thought where I wanted to start one with voice notes. And within a month, I think I had the first episode ready to go and out. And I felt so much energy around that. And that energy built. I did a few voice note me's. I started doing sacred conversations with Nicole in March of 2025. And as time went on, I also felt other creative pulls. I had a really deep pull into writing more poetry and sharing that. And, various things started calling, and I would just follow the flow of energy and what was calling to me. And none of these things are things that, that pay anything. And especially in my way of doing it, which is really free of agenda and free of ambition, and just, I felt called to create with love, just create in ways that were expressions of love and offerings of love and just offerings of self. And I brought a lot of energy into that space. And as the year opened up and then progressed, I was kind of always on that edge, and things would come in that would sustain financially in small ways. Then we go into summer and it just keeps continuing. I just feel continual creative energy and I follow it. And not just creative energy, but I feel like the space where I'm supposed to be is the energy of love and the energy of creating with love. And so, really, just being in those places and then, doing the paid work that came to me and met me. Mostly through the whole year, it's been small pieces of things and deep, deep trust fall to the point that, it doesn't make any sense to most people, I'm sure. And then I have a couple close friends who understand what's happening. There was a time when I felt, maybe I'm meant to get a full-time job, or maybe this, I don't know what it looks like. But pretty quickly, I think by January of this year, when my main sources of expected income ceased, and I kind of stood at that first ledge, and my guidance was really to still not seek anything, to just still stay in this void and trust that the pieces of what I needed would come in. And I was meant to still allow all this space and follow this flow of the energy that called to me. After kind of being at that first cliff, I feel like I felt I was supposed to simply continue. And I soon came to really just a deep knowing of what was happening, of the story that was playing out. And it felt so large. Again, in shifting where I pour my energy so that it's all into love and creating with love and sharing kind of the inner fountain within, just expressing that, just bringing what is within more external, and a pretty big rearrangement of energy and in a really fast time frame. So I think a big piece of this is really orienting where my energy goes. Another piece is simply the willingness to continue listening, even when it takes me to cliff after cliff, sometimes like falling off the cliff, and trusting in that and still moving in that place. As I kind of let things be realigned in a way that feels really destined and really divinely orchestrated, and something I couldn't have planned because it doesn't make logical sense, and something that is really deep and intense and beautiful, and also requires a really deep level of trust. Coming up to the cliff again and again, kind of towering, to use a tarot card, and really learning to live in the tower, in the towering, and to come to a place where it's not even a question of going back or losing my nerve. It feels like this way of being is becoming embedded. And it does feel like a different way of being. It's a different way of being that's really orienting and following intuition and heart to the point where it looks reckless or absurd. And yet that being in the river of the real, and it looks externally powerless, and yet it feels like coming into my deepest power. And so it's a really beautiful journey in space. there's so much more I could say about it all, but I think I probably said enough or the right amount for now. But I know that I'm living in such deep alignment and I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, and really powerful things are happening that are unseen. And that's where I am in this journey. I also thought I'd share on the poetry note. I recently was asked by a friend who is a gorgeous poet. Her name is Laura Abbott, and I'd actually love to bring her on Voice Note Me and have her share her poetry. But she asked me after Andrea Gibson passed away, Laura was really affected by that, just like I was, if I knew of any poetry circles or roundtables, and I didn't. And I have to say, it's not something I was interested in, because I would think of that as kind of a more workshopping atmosphere. And I'm at a place where when I'm creating, if I'm writing poetry, I'm not really that concerned with how it may be perceived or judged or anything like that. And I feel like I think we're at a place in time where we're meant to just share and take ego out of it as much as we can, which is often really bound up in a lot of art, understandably, but also tiresomely, I think. And so I hadn't really thought very much of something like that. And I kind of like to go my own way and things. But since she asked, I asked around and it actually sounded really fun. So we made a poetry circle. And on one of our get togethers, Laura brought forward a prompt. And I'm not much of a person for prompts, I'm not a big fan. And so I thought I would just kind of do my own thing in the prompt. And I did. But I found I didn't actually know what I wanted to write about in that moment, which Laura would say that is the reason for the prompt. But I thought back then to kind of another little exercise I'd wanted to do, something I wanted to play with, which was just write a series of lines, coupled lines that could be kind of jumbled up and scattered into a poem based on these Lucille Clifton oracle cards that I have. It just seemed like a fun thing to play with. And so, in the time where we were writing to the prompt, I started just writing these little couplets or coupled lines. And at the end, I liked some of them and I brought them together into a poem. And so, here is the last poem I've written, and I'm going to share it here. These days, just marrow and dust, ever sparkling and sparking, just one string of wishes, dandelion born, a curve of a mouth that I always remember, and lightning made ash, made soil, flash reborn, as thunder and daisies that crown every night, and promises brought up to live, just marrow and dust, pixie dust in the light, dust and daisies and marrow that forever give. So there's a little poem. And I think I want to leave just a note that I'm recording this on October 28th, and I imagine I'll share it in early November. And we're in Scorpio season, and it's a season of death and rebirth and the unseen, and bringing what's below the surface up to be seen, or just being with it, and alchemizing pain and alchemizing wound. And it's really beautiful, intense energy. And so I hope whenever this meets you, whether it's Scorpio season or onward, I send you alchemizing goodness from my own alchemist heart that's so often with many things within. And I hope that you can lean into that space as much as you're meant to right now. and find your own alchemy. I also want to end this with another sort of invitation. I think kind of making these episodes, these love letter episodes, a different sort of voice note me, where that title then extends to invitation as well. And just say if you want to send me a voice note, just sharing anything that came up for you in this space, I invite you to email me something 5 minutes or less at robin.bethel.lovesong@gmail.com, and that's ROBINBETHELLOVESONG. If I listen to it, I'll send an email back. And I'd love to open the conversation that way a little bit. So if you have anything you'd like to share, please feel free to send it. And that's all that I have for this little love letter in Vignette from me to you in October, November-ish, autumn. I'm going to bring one more thing into this episode. And this seems a little strange to do it this way, but I think I'm going to bring it in after the closing song because it's a bit different. I'm going to bring in one of the guided imaginings that I've shared before through something called Imagine and Flow, where I just have a few different kind of meditative imaginings. I'm loath to call them a meditation, but I kind of just weave into some different openings and spaces. Some of them I'd done before and I re-recorded. And then this one I created just as I went. I kind of think about it and I think of some things, but I don't write it out. I kind of just let it come out as it does and then bring in some soft music. So after the closing song to this episode, I'm going to add that. If you're interested in hearing, then stay around for that. And if not, then you can just leave it. It's about seeing yourself in all of your inherent beauty through all the imperfection and letting yourself be seen. That will be after the closing song. And I hope you have a beautiful day and a beautiful Scorpio season, and just find yourself moving more and more into your own deepest alignment as things crumble and help rebuild the world. All right. Bye.
Rainy days don't seem so wet. Stormy nights don't stay. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know.
You start in the dark, sitting near a shore, sitting in the sand. The ocean is in front of you, and sand covers your feet. Grains sprinkle across your legs. But more than that, you notice flakes of mud and stains on your skin. Some dark, some faded, that have been there for days, some months, some years. You haven't been able to wash them away like you know you can the sand. And some days you wish they weren't there. They remind you of ways that you failed, in ways large and small. Sometimes you forget them, and sometimes they fill your vision. You sit for a moment in quiet and breathe. You look out to sea and you see a ship far away. You see a number of ships. One of them, though, has a soft light around it, flickering on and off, almost moving gently in its shape. It looks golden, soft orange, soft blue. It moves, not staying the same color, and you're transfixed. Your attention is taken from the stains on your skin, and you look at the light around the ship. Something about it feels different. It doesn't just look like a ship with lights radiating out into the dark night. It almost feels like a different way of seeing, a truer way of seeing, and you're not used to it. You blink and you look again at the ship with the light. And then you also notice a crow on the sand, about 10 feet away from you. You also notice the soft light around its body. So subtle, but it's there. Soft rose pink with flickers of gold. A round ship and a round bird. The colors are gently moving, forming shape with shifting densities, shifting flow. It's beautiful. And you sit in quiet for a moment, breathing deeply in and out, becoming more familiar with this way of seeing. You close your eyes, and then when you open them, you see your arm, and you see a light coming from your skin, hovering at the edges of your skin, moving gently around your skin. Subtle threads of light. And as you look, the light grows. The light is color. The light is warmth. The light is shape. The light is whole and intricate. You see it coming from your arms, and you take a minute to absorb the image, the beauty, the felt shape and radiance. You know it belongs to you. As you integrate this piece of light, you notice it moving and expanding. You see the emerging shape, the warmth, the glow now around your shoulder. The colors are all your own, a multitude, and like the ship and like the crow, they shift, they sigh, they move. You watch the light grow and emerge from all of your body that you can see. There's something so personal in the light. It's not as if a single color emits consistently across, but it's a swirl. Feels like a piece of art. You don't know how it could have been pieced together in a way holding so many textures while being so united. You start to rock your body a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, the tiniest small circles. And as you do, you feel so held, so cradled. You know you're rocking yourself, cradling yourself, cradled in your own beauty, illuminated suddenly, so clear, still and moving. You are cradled in so much beauty. You rest in it, and you're energized by it. You see yourself, and in a way it feels like you're seeing yourself fully for the first time. After resting and luxuriating in this art of self, suddenly so visible to you, you realize you need to let this light be seen. You stand up, you walk forward, and you open your arms and offer your light to the ships sailing on the horizon, all of which, except for the one, are dark. As you do, you look down at your light and you see gossamer threads of it reflect into the air. You now notice places where the light seems to falter. You notice how the colors change as they move along the spaces of your skin with stains. You know that your light is immense. You know that your beauty is immense, more than you ever realized. And you also see how imperfect it is. As you open your arms and offer your light to the ship sailing in the dark in front of you, You see how pieces of your light stretch out far. Some pieces swirl in other directions. And you see your shadow moving through it all. You notice the light swirling near one piece of skin stained so dark, a different color than you see anywhere else around you. This light shines out at a different color, one clearly born of the wound still in your skin, born of your failure to love, still embedded. You wonder how this color light will meet what you're offering it to. You wonder how your imperfection, along with so much beauty, will meet the world. And then you see a new light on the horizon with the ships. You see one of the ships start to shine a light too, and it's the same color emitting from your wound, embedded in the light. And you know, intuitively, this is the only color that could have reached them. It's the color that could connect you. It's the color that could call forth their light. You know you are a lighthouse. You are a beacon. You know that in your imperfect beauty, you are beckoning the world into becoming. You know that the shades of your light are perfect, and the imperfection of your light threaded through with your shadow are perfect. You know every piece of your light, that every piece of your shadow belongs. It belongs in this whole. Every imperfection belongs, and every imperfection has a place, sometimes calling forth your deepest, truest self, sometimes in ways that are too mysterious to articulate. This light and this shadow, all held within the dark night, create shapes that these ships need. Do you stand there and you feel the rightness of sharing your light, of sharing your dark, of sharing your imperfect beauty, and letting yourself be seen? Every piece is part of the pattern, and as you sit with this truth, you see more flickers of light in the ships on the sea. You whisper, I see, I feel, I know my own beauty, and I share it. You see, you feel, you know. You see yourself. You let yourself be seen. And the ships come in. The world unfolds. Your beauty calls forth more beauty, until we all remember who we really are forever.